Good morning. It is Wednesday, April the 28th, 2021, and we have double barrel action for you today. Two fantastic guests, Michele Meyer-Shipp of Major League Baseball and Imani, Countess of the U.S. Africa Bridge Building Project, joins us this morning. But first, of course, let us bring on our president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publicists Association, the Black Press of America, Dr. Ben Chavis. Good morning, Dr. Chavis.
Good morning, Stacy. On behalf of the NNPA, our national chair, Karen Carter Richards. In fact, she's on her way to Washington, D.C. to spend time at the office of the National Newspaper Publishers Association. 230 African-American owned newspapers and media companies all across America. We greet all of our viewers and thank you, Stacy. Let's get right into it. Let it be known.
Absolutely. Dr. Chavis, and just briefly, before we bring on our guests, one brief news item. Tonight, President Biden will go before Congress to lay out his agenda, and an expansion of federal funding for pre-K and community college will be a central part of it. Despite the recent gains, both pre-K and community college remain far from universal. And the president's proposal is an example of how he is trying to define bipartisanship during a time when congressional Republicans are often unwilling to support any new federal policy. So big night for the president, big night for the country as President Biden rolls out his education plan tonight before a session of Congress.
Yes, the first 100 days, the Biden-Harris administration has made tremendous progress in spite of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and in spite of the resurgence of racist police brutality on African Americans. We have to continue to respond to these challenges. So thankful yesterday we had a chance to have the distinguished Attorney General of Minnesota with us, Stacy, the Honorable Keith Ellison. And so that's what the Black Press, that's what we do. And so we'll be following the president's speech live tonight as he speaks to America and to the world.
Absolutely. Well, this morning, Dr. Chavis, Major League Baseball has been really making a push toward more diversity and inclusion. And one of the faces of that is Michele Meyer-Shipp. She is the MLB's Chief People and Culture Officer who reports directly to Commissioner Rob Manfred. Let's say good morning to Michele Meyer-Shipp.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Michele, for joining us. And we certainly want to strengthen the relationship between Major League Baseball and the Black Press of America. So we're so pleased to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Michele, let's jump right into it because baseball has made some great strides. We saw the hiring in Miami of Kim. I can't pronounce her last name. You could tell us that.
Kim Ng.
Kim Ng. And we see what happened in Boston. The young lady that was appointed there for that position with the Red Sox's farm system. So, and you report to the commissioner. Tell us about your job and tell us about the progress, as we mentioned, Kim, and what the Red Sox have done as well.
Absolutely, I'm happy to. So I joined Commissioner Manfred's team about 8 months ago as the Chief People and Culture Officer, and it's a really great role. I'm basically in charge of anything relating to our people, their experience, their engagement, their development, retention, recruitment, et cetera, and their employee experience. So what I've been able to do over the last 8 months is really work across the league with our owners, with our general managers, our presidents, and our leaders to really get strategic around how we're recruiting, developing, and engaging underrepresented talent, how we are creating a culture wherein everyone on and off the field can be engaged, can be supported, can be mentored, and then taking all of that and really being thoughtful and strategic about how we engage in and support our communities. So things like supplier diversity, our philanthropic efforts, all of the youth activities we have in the community, those are some of the things that I'm really proud of that I've been able to experience. And what's really neat about this, Dr. Chavis and Stacy, is a lot of this stuff was going on before me. And I was able to step in and kind of put a strategy and a framework around it so we could be really intentional about our efforts to gain maximum impact.
Yeah, and Michele, we saw in the NBA last summer, LeBron James and those guys take the lead when it came to the social justice side of things. And in baseball, we saw people like Dominic Smith of the New York Mets really take the lead in standing up and protesting, demonstrating against what happened with George Floyd and other issues as it pertains to communities of color. Baseball was very supportive of that. Tell us more about what went into that situation, because we know some games were postponed because of the situation in Minneapolis and around the country last year.
Yeah, so it's funny, during that entire process, I was actually in the interview phase. I was watching this as well from the outside looking in. And what I learned when I took the job and started at Major League Baseball was that, the decision to get engaged in this social justice conversation was a decision that was collectively made across the organization. Club, players, owners, teammates, colleagues were all addressing this issue and recognized that it was time to take a stand. And they did it together. We started honest and open conversations about race across difference, not something that necessarily had been done before. And I think that really started the progress. And then we had the forming of the Players Alliance, which is really focused around issues relating to our Black players. And they have actually been really engaged across the nation in the last year in pushing these efforts forward with our support, with the support of the Players Association, et cetera. So it's a great partnership. And during this process, we've all, stayed together. We talk with each other. We navigate the issues. And I really am proud of where we are today.
Yeah, we see too, although there's still such a disparity in the number of players of color, but we see that the cream really has risen. You look at Juan Soto out in Washington, Ronald Acuna in Atlanta. I mentioned Dom Smith in New York. You have the White Sox have a couple of great young players of color. We're seeing that. How is that helping the effort to recruit more African Americans and people of color to the game?
Yeah, I think it is. It's a start, right? We have a ways to go. We know that. But there are so many efforts underway to get Black talent engaged, both on the field and off the field. When you think about on the field, we have tons of youth programming, again, targeting Black and brown communities across the nation, targeting HBCUs, et cetera. And we're really trying to get people access to this game and exposure to this game. There's a marketing angle to this. There's a branding angle to this. And so we're trying to help people see that we are a great sport, just like some of the other professional sports. So we have a lot of work to do across that space as well. And then likewise, in the front office, it's the same thing. A lot of people don't appreciate that Major League Baseball operates just like a major organization or corporation. We've got different businesses, different careers, different opportunities. So again, we have to do a better job of marketing all of the opportunities that are available in our organization. And we have to make sure that we're targeting the right places to go to source that diverse talent. So that's all part of the strategy that's underway right now.
Yeah, and before we bring on our next guest to join you, Michele, I want to throw it over to Dr. Chavis to jump in on this conversation about Major League Baseball.
Well, thank you very much. And Michele, again, congratulations to you. We're so pleased that Major League Baseball made that decision to bring you on board, to bring you into the C-suite. We want to help you. The Black press can really help you and Major League Baseball amplify your messaging, your branding, your marketing. 2 years ago, when we had our national convention in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati team actually co-sponsored our convention. We're going to be virtual this year. So right after this program, we're going to be right back in touch with you. Our national convention is June 23rd through the 26th. And we definitely want to highlight at our national convention some of the things you outlined that Major League Baseball is now moving forward. I think it's good news for Black America, and we want to help you amplify your messaging.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to that. That'll be great. Thanks, Dr. Chavis.
Yeah, thank you. And the U.S.-Africa Bridge Building Project was launched just in January. Today, we have the director of the U.S.-Africa Bridge Building Project, Imani Countess, joining us. Good morning, Imani.
Well, good morning, Stacy. Good morning, Dr. Chavis. And thank you both and the NNPA team. It's a real pleasure to be with you this morning.
It is a pleasure to have you. We're having some audio problems with you that we didn't have pre-show, but we'll try and work through that, Imani. But if you can you tell us a little bit about the U.S. Africa Bridge Building Project?
Sure. The U.S. Africa Bridge Building Project, as you mentioned, it's new. And we seek to link economic inequality activists and social movements to strengthen our collective efforts for tax justice at all levels of the global economy. And part of that work, Stacy, involves really reminding all of us that we have a history and a practice of working together on our common issues. Black Americans and our allies have worked in solidarity with Africans to support national liberation efforts. Dr. Chavis has, of course, a rich and very long history with a number of initiatives. And African nations and activists have been both an inspiration and a support for civil rights, for our civil rights and social justice causes as well. So in addition to reminding us and providing opportunities to share the lessons that we've learned, we're also working to create concrete opportunities for shared reflection, strategizing, and where appropriate, joint action amongst activists. There are many issues around which we have common cause. The Bridge Building Project is specifically focused on economic inequality and the big ticket item, tax justice. Specifically, the missing trillions that could be and should be invested in our cities, states, and governments to pay for health, education, and infrastructure.
I love the fact that we're going to have Michele on some more because she's sending. We have a private. For people don't know, we have a private chat here. Michelle's sending directions on how to fix the problems. I love it, Dr. Chavis. I'm sure this U.S. Africa Bridge Building Project is something that you like to hear about. So I'm going to let you jump in too.
Well, thank you, and I want to let both Michele and Imani know that we are reaching out with the Black Press of America, but we also maintain relationship with the Black press in the Pan-African diaspora, in the African diaspora, the Black press in Africa, the Black press in the Caribbean, in Brazil, also in Europe and in Asia. We're a very powerful network of outreach. The thing is just working together. So the project that you've outlined, Imani, we definitely on the NNPA side want to work with you to help. Again, same thing I said to Michele about Major League Baseball. We want to help you amplify what you're doing. I think there's a hunger and a thirst for information in Black America. One of the things that COVID-19 has done with all of the isolation, with all of everything virtual, people search now for places to get the information. And I'm so pleased that all of our 230 African-American owned member newspapers and media companies of the NNPA, they've stayed engaged during this pandemic. They've stayed engaged during the social justice outcry for a better improvement of policing relations with Black America. But at the same time, we have to also provide opportunities, career opportunities, economic development opportunities. I just think that we have to move forward, and that's why the Black press does what it does. And every morning, you notice we try to bring people on, Imani, like you and like Michele, who are not only striving for excellence, but you have reached excellence, you are doing excellence, and we want Black America to join you in the excellent programming that you both are involved in.
Yeah, and Imani, and I'm going to come back to you in a moment, Michele. Thanks for staying with us. Can you tell our audience how they can learn more about the U.S. Africa Bridge Building Project?
Sure. You can visit our website, www.us-africabridgebuilding.org. Feel free to to email us at, info@usafricabridgebuilding.org. And I can, and then also please read the NNPA press reports, because we look forward to being in active dialogue and engagement with NNPA. Dr. Chavis, your words really do make my heart sing, because I know that for literally decades, and for those newspapers that have been in existence even longer, 100+ years, the Black press has been really important in providing information on African issues, be it South Africa, Namibia, Angola. It's been the Black press has been absolutely critical in ensuring that we have a global understanding of the Black world.
Yeah, absolutely. And Imani, Dr. Chavis took me to Africa 2 years ago. It was an amazing trip. We saw some things. Because of him, I was able to see some things I'd never seen before. Impressive things about that continent. And we were there for an election that we were monitors. The Black press served as monitors of the election there, and we got to see their democracy in action, and it was really impressive to see. So I thought that. And Dr. Chavis, you're on mute.
Yes, I was trying to cut down some of the background noise, but yes, we went to Malawi together, and one of the things that we witnessed, Imani and Michele, was they allow prisoners to vote while they're incarcerated. It was full voter participation. And I was saying, wow, African democracy is a little bit ahead of American democracies. A lot that we can learn from our brothers and sisters in the diaspora, as of course, we set trends in Black America for the rest of the world. I remember one time I had an Ebony magazine, and when the guy that was searching everybody at the airport saw my Ebony magazine, he said, come on through. Just because of, and I think sometimes Imani and Michele too, we underestimate our sphere of influence in the world. Black Americans, we set trends that resonate not only in the 50 United States, but resonate around the world. So we salute both of you, and that's why the Black press is existing. This year actually is the 194th year of the Black Press of America. Since 1827, when Freedom's Journal was first published, we've remained on the front lines, not only reporting the news, but we are advocate for freedom, justice, and equality.
Congratulations. That's awesome. That's good. Yep.
Yeah.
Stacy, did we lose Stacy's audio? Well, that's okay.
He looks frozen.
Yes. So let me just continue. That's what we do. We have versatility in the Black press. Imani, tell us again, we've heard about these stimulus plan. Now there's an infrastructure plan. To what extent to which you think these initiatives now of the Biden-Harris administration will expand and help enhance cooperation between Africa and the United States?
Well, what a great question. I think that where there is a very clear intersection of interest is actually in terms of where the money for these programs comes from. So the Biden administration, they have estimated that just by cracking down on tax evasion by high net worth individuals and large corporations, that the US government can raise some $80 billion. And on the other side of the Atlantic, African activists and governments are also discovering ways in which multinational corporations hide money in tax havens, underreport their income in a country, or enter into corrupt relationships with governments to hide wealth. One of the areas that you just mentioned, Dr. Chavis, was in terms of how we learn from each other on this side of the pond and the other. And one of the areas in which African governments are actually leading around this tax issue is on the question of digital tax, right? So how is it that a company like Facebook, which we're all using, right, generates enormous revenues through its online advertising, both here, Africa, all around the world. And yet, on much of that advertising, it pays absolutely no tax. And so South Africa, the African Union, they have really been leading the world, and the European Union has kind of begun to come along and identified this issue of digital taxation as an important issue. The state of Maryland, one of our state legislators, has just initiated state legislation, but who led the charge? It was African governments, South Africa again, and the African Union, and we, Maryland, New York, and others are kind of, coming in behind, because this is a global issue, a global concern, and very consistent with the Biden administration's desire to crack down on those that aren't paying their fair share, those that have the most yet contribute the least.
Very good. And Michele, I want to ask you a question. Major League Baseball, we know in a lot of the other professional sports, there's an outreach to African athletes. How's Major League Baseball? Are we reaching out for talent in Africa and throughout the diaspora as well?
I'll be honest with you and tell you, I do not know the answer to that question. I'm pretty new to baseball, and
Sure.
during the pandemic, our global efforts were halted. So we are global. We have operations all around the world, but interestingly and not surprisingly, because of the pandemic, all of that had to cease. So
Yes.
I think at this point, as we think about our plans for the future, we're going to look strategically around where it makes sense to tap into the market outside of the U.S. So more to come on that, Dr. Chavis, for sure.
Thank you. And we can be helpful to you because, when President Obama went to Cuba, the biggest diplomatic success was attending a baseball game in Cuba. And of course, I go back and forth to Cuba a lot, and I know a lot of those great baseball players down in Cuba, which most people don't know. Cuba is part of our African diaspora. There's an almost majority Black population in Cuba, and great athletes. Same thing in the Dominican Republic. We have relatives and friends in the DR, and I know that they start working by the time they're 6, 7, 8 years old. They're out there on the practicing their baseball skills. So I just think there's an opportunity for Major League Baseball that, again, we could be helpful. And Imani, I think in terms of building the bridge between Africa and the United States, one of the things I think that we should focus on is the economic part of this, the economic equity question. The Biden-Harris administration has announced that equity is their top priority in all categories. So we definitely want to make sure that what you're doing with your program, Imani, that we can help you address some of these issues, particularly with some of the leaders now in the Biden-Harris administration. Former Ambassador Susan Rice is actually the point person now for equity for the Biden-Harris administration.
That's fantastic. We look forward to working with you, Dr. Chavis, and the entire NNPA team. We know the rich history, the legacy, and we're delighted to be able to partner with you in any ways that we can.
Great.
Fantastic. And sorry, you guys, I had a sudden power outage, but like the Bash Brothers, I'm back. Michele, Michele, I wanted to ask you too. We know that every year Major League Baseball does a fantastic job of celebrating Jackie Robinson. Tell us more. What goes into that, and what else can we expect going forward? Because I know that each year they do a little something extra. They put the uniform numbers on everyone's back on Jackie Robinson Day, which is an awesome tribute. From your vantage point and where you sit now, how important is that to young African Americans?
Oh, it's incredibly important. I mean, the bottom line is, our youth need to see it to believe they can be it. So it really is important that we highlight, spotlight, and celebrate our Black role models and legends in the game, right? So Jackie Robinson Day, the recent passing of Hank Aaron, et cetera, really important luminaries in the space for us to continue to recognize. And I'll tell you, when to the question of Jackie Robinson Day, there were so many. This was my first Jackie Robinson Day as an MLB executive. And to watch all that went on behind the scenes, there are so many, not just symbolism by way of uniform patches and things of that nature, but programs inside and outside of baseball, activities in communities all across the nation. So not only did our central office, MLB, do initiatives and activations, but clubs across the nation were doing things in their local communities. And to me, it actually rang true as a real life example of the League's commitment, right, to our community, to the Black community. And we will continue to do these things moving forward. And again, not just on Jackie Robinson Day, but all throughout the year. So I'm really excited to be part of a team that gets how important it is to tap into our communities and spotlight and remember with honor our legends.
Yeah, and I need you to have a conversation with Rob Manfred about these new rules, and the lack of a DH in the National League, okay? Dr. Chavis, your closing thoughts?
Well, again, we want to salute Michele and her work with Major League Baseball, and we salute Imani and her work building this bridge between Africa and the United States. And we say on behalf of the Black press that there's so much opportunity. There's more opportunity today in 2021 than ever before. We got to find out about it. It's the information is power. But once you get the information, it's how you use the information that you become powerful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And in fairness, let's give both our guests a final word. First, Imani, Countess, last thoughts, about 30 seconds.
Dr. Chavis, Stacy, thank you again for this opportunity to be with you this morning. The Bridge Building Project is foundationally based upon the notion of solidarity and the fact that we all have a common humanity, and it's possible for us to work together to promote equal rights for all on all sides of the pond, and that living together, learning to live together on the basis of our common humanity is absolutely the most important way to move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Michele, I can talk baseball all day. So with that said, I'll give you 30 seconds or so to give us a summation.
Yeah, sure. I just say again, like Imani, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. And again, the work of baseball is really connected to our community. We want to get engaged. We want to build partnerships and move forward together to advance diversity, both on the field, off the field, and in our communities. So Dr. Chavis, to your point, looking forward to a continued conversation about how we can work together and support one another. So thank you both for having me. And Imani, all the best to you and continued success with your efforts as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to the best baseball player I've ever known, my brother Darren. He's going through some medical situations now, but want to shout him out. He was our leader in Little League and Pony League and in high school. So get well soon, my brother. And don't forget, coming up, the National Newspaper Publishers Association's annual summer convention is held virtually this year. It's from June 23rd to June 26th, and you can register free at virtualnmpa2021.com. Again, it's www.virtualnmpa2021.com. And as Dr. Chavis stated, 2 years ago, the Cincinnati Reds really did us a great service at our convention. We went to a game. They treated us like royalty. You never know what you're going to get at an NNPA convention. There's going to be some great entertainment. There's going to be some great information. Be there. It's free this year. Thanks to Dr. Chavis and our chair, Karen Carter Richards, and the executive team. They have made registration totally free. Let it be known. Always remember, knowledge speaks, but wisdom listens. We will see you tomorrow.